Welcome, I'm your host and go-to executive coach, Phyllis Reagin. Today is part 5 of my 6-part series on how to overcome imposter syndrome. If you haven't seen the other episodes, I encourage you to go visit them. In each one, I am discussing how imposter syndrome can negatively impact you in different ways. So you'll learn what those ways are and a major strategy that can help you begin to improve imposter syndrome. Today, I'm going to talk about how imposter syndrome prevents you from getting out of your comfort zone. So if that's you, stay tuned. I'm going to get to a main strategy that's going to help you. When imposter syndrome shows up, you stay sometimes within your own comfort zone. And that's because you fear being exposed maybe as a fraud, or it's just really uncomfortable to think of yourself in a different way, like you're worth it, that your achievements are the ones that are right for what you're doing. So you have this disconnect, and it makes you stay in your comfort zone, whether you want to or not. So you're not maybe taking the risk that you need to take, you're not pursuing new opportunities, you don't push yourself past certain limitations personally and professionally. So you're not going to grow and be the person that you want to be, maybe the role that you want, or do things like write a book, start a podcast, start that nonprofit. All of those things will be out of reach because you'll stay in your comfort zone. So it's really important to learn how to challenge this. Professionally, this can show up with you avoiding leadership roles. So you may not go after the role that you really know is right for you or is the next level for you because you don't want to challenge yourself to get out of that comfort zone. What happens is it's people that stay within their comfort zone professionally, they can get into what's called rust out. And rust out is where you just are doing that. You're just rusting. You're no longer motivated by what you're doing. It's not that interesting or challenging. And you're just staying in that role because it feels comfortable to you. Now, personally, it can show up for you of not getting out of your comfort zone because you may not take the risk to try new hobbies or activities. You may find that you avoid social situations where you fear you may be judged, or you stick with routines that feel safe, but they also limit your personal growth. So my client, his name's Mike, not really, but that's what we'll call him today. He's the VP of HR at an entertainment studio. He has been the VP for quite some time, and he's ready actually to be promoted. But he's nervous about it. He's not sure he wants it. It's really making him nervous because he would prefer to stay in what he knows. And he actually knows it's time. It's time for him to step up into a different role. It might even be time for him to leave this company and get an advanced role, but it's making him nervous. So he came to coaching to understand what was going on with that so he can manage it better and really start to go after a different role. What he realized was, despite all his qualifications and accomplishments, he just wasn't connecting to that. He couldn't talk about himself that way in front of others. And he was nervous about if he was going to be interviewed, how he could actually have that narrative, really talk to them about what was important for them to know if he couldn't connect to it himself. So here's where we started. The main strategy was important for him. It was to embrace growth and take these calculated risks. So the first thing was he needed to reflect on his past successes. And this is key if you have imposter syndrome, because most people with imposter syndrome, for some reason, they just cannot connect to their past accomplishments, achievements, or successes. They just haven't integrated it. All they can do is pull up these thoughts about how they're inadequate and all this self-doubt that they have. So what we did was we spent a lot of time with him reflecting on this, not just saying it to me in a one-time way, but to really write them down, to think about them, to tell me stories about how each one happened. And as he delved deeper and deeper to it, he was beginning to reconnect back that to why he was successful and why he could actually step outside of his comfort zone. Then we challenged his limiting beliefs. So his limiting beliefs were really that he wasn't ready, not the right person, he was going to fail, You might be seen as a fraud. All of those limiting beliefs we tackled. And in the prior videos, I discussed a key question if that's happening for you. You want to ask yourself, what evidence supports this negative belief, this negative thought that I'm having? More times than not, when you're experiencing imposter syndrome, you will not find any evidence to support your thought. And so you want to recognize this thought is probably not true. So what can I say to myself instead that's more empowering, productive, helpful? Then you want to say that to yourself often, because you've had this pathway that you created in your brain, this neural pathway where you say all these negative things to yourself. Now you need to create a new neural pathway so that when the triggers show up, you now can access these new thoughts. You can't access them if you're not practicing them. So make sure when you reframe your thoughts, you spend time practicing them so you can really integrate them and access them. Another important question for Mike was to ask himself, how have I overcome challenges like this in the past? So there were other times where he was in his comfort zone, he stepped out of it and really had professional growth. He needed to look at what did he do in those circumstances, what strengths helped him manage it, and to remember he can utilize those in the situation that he's in right now. After that, we really looked into having him set small goals, incremental steps, where he could see that he could step into unfamiliar territory. So for him, the first one was really beginning to practice interviewing, where he could talk about himself now in a way that he didn't prior to coaching. He practiced with friends, he practiced during coaching. He actually videotaped himself so he could see how he was coming across, what he still wanted to improve on, what was working. And he did that over and over again until he felt more comfortable and really felt like he could step outside of that comfort zone. And the last step to this, which is important if you're experiencing imposter syndrome, is that once you see you're progressing and you're stepping outside of your comfort zone, you want to pause and reflect. People with imposter syndrome tend to not want to take the time to notice what they're doing well and what's working for them. They go immediately to not feeling like they're doing something right. So you want to reflect, think about, how did I manage that well? What did I say that was working? What was that thought that I had that was really productive? And then you want to celebrate your progress. So you want to take the time to really say, I'm doing a good job. Things are working out for me the way that I wanted them to. And I'm progressing in a way that really feels comfortable to me, but it's actually moving me forward now. If this sounds like it's going to be helpful to you, then I say practice all of these steps. And this is going to be really helpful for you to get beyond the boundaries you've set for your comfort zone. Well, thanks for joining me today. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, subscribe for more content like this. In the next video, that's going to be the last one for this 6-part series. I'm going to be highlighting again all of the ways that imposter syndrome might be showing up for you and talking about these key reflections and key questions you can be asking yourself that's really going to help you overcome your imposter syndrome. Until next time, I'll see you then.